Let's talk about what's happening with Vladimir Putin this morning. So Vladimir Putin spoke yesterday. Everyone's waiting to see what the Russian leader was going to say about the tensions rising in Ukraine. Hey, Mr. President, you've amassed 100,000 troops along the border with Ukraine. Clearly, you want to invade Ukraine. Well, Vladimir Putin says, no, the Western media is lying to you, and the U.S. is simply trying to goad us into a war. We do not want to go to war. And the Russian president says, the United States, you're just trying to draw us into a war. And come on, I just don't buy that for a second. Yes, I do. I frankly, I'm not saying I'm siding with Vladimir Putin here, but let's just think about this for a second. The military-industrial complex would love nothing more than a war, a protracted, endless, open-ended war that involves NATO, us selling weapons to the rest of the world, us being involved in a long protracted war. It would absolutely be something that the military-industrial complex would love. We've already seen it. We already know they're there training individuals. We already know that they've been pumping weapons into that region. Already happening, right?
Yes.
On top of that, mainstream media would absolutely love a war with Russia. They absolutely would. A report just literally about 10 minutes ago before the show started today from Fast Company. Look at this. I can't pull it up on the screen because it's kind of janky. It's not working right. I'm just going to read you the headline. Cable news networks have a serious ratings problem in the age of news burnout.
Yes.
So, what more would these cable news companies love than a war, a new war, especially with Vladimir Putin, where you have like good versus bad?
Well, on many accounts, CNN was built on the Gulf War.
Yeah.
There are entire books about it.
Right.
The Gulf War did not exist by Baudrillard. Like, postmodernism is war that is away from you, and that creates viewership and an entire mindset, right?
Right.
So, but Vladimir Putin is still saying our conditions and what we want have not changed. We have these three demands regarding NATO expansion: the renunciation of the deployment of strike weapons systems near Russian borders, the return of NATO's bloc military infrastructure in Europe to the state of 1997 when the Russian NATO Founding Act was signed. So basically, they still are like, we don't like you right here on our borders, and we have responded in kind. And now it's a chicken or egg, like who put their troops there first, right? Because troops are there.
Yeah, but
from
they're in
both
there.
sides.
Let's be clear about something though, right? Their troops are in their own country.
On the border, right?
Right. So
our troops are not.
Our troops are not, right? So let's just be clear. Other than Crimea, of course. So, but Russia and Vladimir Putin specifically spoke on this issue yesterday, saying we believe that it's a sovereign Russian country, Crimea. So we've annexed them. Like, we're not talking about that anymore. Like, he just is like, he shut that questioning down. He's like, no, we annexed them. We're not talking about that anymore. Okay. So we can't talk about Crimea anymore. Don't talk about Bruno. But when it comes to Ukraine, again, these troops that Russia has amassed are on their
own side.
On their own side of the border.
Responding to
an increase in potential NATO strength on their back door. And he wants a return to 1997 agreement between Russia and NATO, which wouldn't increase the size of NATO in that region.
Meanwhile, European leaders who originally had signaled that, oh, yes, we are concerned about this too. We will be with American President Biden. If something happens, we will respond in kind, have now been sort of reaching out on their own to the Russian president and saying, we don't want conflict either. We're not sure what our response will be. Germany, who has sent no money, no troops, sent 5,000 helmets. So it's kind of a like, I'll give you some water if you're passing by, but I'm not inviting you to the dinner party, right? Kind of thing. It's an interesting response because Germany realizes that a war with Russia would shut down the supply chain of most of their goods and services that the European Union cannot afford. And
the Russians that I've read their commentary on this, and Russian Americans, Russians in Russia, who said this is just a flex by Putin. Like, this is not a protracted war. Like, this is not something that Russia could handle nor want right now. No way. This is just simply a flex to say, we've got these troops. NATO, you're not coming knocking on our door.
Yes.
And that's all it is. Brother in the chat says, Uncle Brother says, you guys should have on a foreign policy expert on the show. I've interviewed so many foreign policy experts over the years. The problem is it's very hard to find any of them that aren't biased toward one side. And what is a foreign policy expert? When you flip on Fox News or MSNBC or these CNN or former general, former CIA intelligence operative, former whatever, they're all part of the military-industrial complex. It's almost impossible. It's almost impossible to find somebody who's not tied to this. I mean, maybe the only person or team you could actually go to are the people that write Foreign Policy magazine. I think top notch. I used to sit in Barnes & Noble and read Foreign Policy magazine. And
did you pay for it?
No, I would buy it sometimes, but I was broke at the time. But it was, it's thick. Foreign Policy magazine's like this thick, and excellent reporting.
But you bought coffee.
I paid for coffee. Yeah, I would sit there and pay for coffee.
And then put the magazine back.
And I'd probably put the magazine
And
back.
had a bunch of credit card debt.
Yeah, I had a ton of credit card debt. I had $75,000 in credit card
All right, we
debt.
forgive you.
Yeah, but I would
Clayton
read Foreign
in his
Policy.
20s.
So I have to say, it's hard. Really, in that situation, it's hard. But just listen to what they're saying, right? Listen to what they're saying, and watch what they're doing, right? So listen to what they say, and then watch what they do. It's always very simple with politicians because they're going to say one thing and do something else. And right now, he's not invaded Ukraine. He's sitting there saying, I'm not going to invade Ukraine. I don't want to invade Ukraine. But here's what I would like from NATO. Please do this. Please do X, Y, and Z. And what is the United States doing? Saying, we don't want a war, right? That the United States is saying, we don't want a war with Ukraine. And what are they doing? They've been secretly, without telling us, sending troops already to Ukraine. They've been secret. I had somebody write me on Facebook, says, my brother's in the Air Force. He's already been deployed there. He's been there for weeks. I don't know why this hasn't even been reported in the media yet. He's already been deployed to the region. Mm-hmm. Like, they're not telling us this. So again, watch what they say, watch what they do. Are they in congruency or are they incongruent? That's the question.